Today I'm going to share with you some really important things to consider when buying or upgrading a CPAP machine. This is my CPAP buyer's guide and it's going to help you make really good informed decisions so you can buy the best CPAP machine for your budget. When you're first told that you have sleep apnea and that you need to go and maybe investigate buying a CPAP machine, I know that it's really confusing for many of you. It's just such an overload of information, isn't it? Just with all the different manufacturers, all the different models, the CPAPs, the APAPs, the BiPAPs, all the different prices and the features. And it leaves you feeling a bit paralyzed because you really just have no idea on what it all means. And you're kind of just, in this state of confusion. And when there's just so many different choices out there, it does really make it really hard for you to sort of make a good informed decision. When you are confused and a company knows that you really have no idea, it does leave you quite vulnerable to sort of being manipulated in one way or another to perhaps spending a little bit more money than what you might need to get the same good night's sleep and the same apnea control. So that's what this video is all about today, to sort of cut through all the bullshit and give you just the straight up information that should help you make your life a bit easier if you're going to buy or potentially upgrade your existing machine. The therapy in general in terms of positive airway pressure hasn't really changed a whole lot in 35 years. And if you break it all down and you take away the shell and you take away all the marketing terms and all the bits and pieces and all the bells and whistles, the machine itself is basically just an air pump. All right, it brings air in through the back, adds a little bit of moisture to it, and then it pushes it down the tubing into your mask, and that obviously forces air into your lungs. So you're really just looking at a very expensive air pump. The reason I'm trying to tell you this is because across the board, no matter what machine you're going to get, the actual therapy itself isn't going to change a whole lot. And from one machine to the next, they're really going to do the same thing. Now, the first thing to consider is what mode of therapy you want to have a look at. So you've got your CPAP or your fixed pressure machine set to one level, and then you have your auto or your APAP machines, your variable pressure machines that change the pressure automatically throughout the night. And then you have your BiPAP machines or bi-level machines, which have a different pressure for inhalation versus exhalation. And that all sounds a bit confusing, so I'm going to make it really simple for you. I want you to forget about CPAP, okay? Just forget about your fixed pressure machines altogether. And you really want to be starting with your automatic machines, which are going to monitor your breathing. They're going to always adjust the therapy levels automatically. So if you've got a cold or you've had a night on the booze or you put on a bit of weight over winter, it doesn't matter. Your automatic machine will monitor your breathing every night, every minute, and adjust accordingly. And of course, you can fine tune it a little bit and watch some of the videos that I do on that. But you want to start with your auto. And then if you're really struggling getting used to the therapy with the automatic and you're finding it very difficult to breathe out against the pressure, then by all means go and speak to your consultant about trialing a BiPAP machine, which is just a lot easier to breathe out against the pressure, but very similar. All right, so forget about your CPAP, start with your auto, and then if you're failing at auto, try your BiPAP. Now, the next thing is obviously the brands, and there's probably 10 or so, maybe even more now, brands on the market. The big three are ResMed, Philips Respironics, Fisher & Paykel Healthcare. They have the market dominance, and because of that market dominance, they do charge a premium, a little bit more dollar for that market dominance. And below them, you've got brands like 3B Medical or BMC, which make the Luna range. Your DeVilbiss machines, which make your SleepHQs and your IntelliPaps and your DeVilbiss Blue machines. And there's a few others now as well. I won't go through them all, but basically I like to pigeonhole them into your really high-end ones, and then your sort of your more budget machines. And so when it comes to that, I think you look straight away at your budget, and if you don't care too much about money and you've got plenty of it, it's probably worthwhile getting one of those high-end machines. But if you're a little bit more money conscious, you're on a bit more of a budget, then certainly, you look more at the sort of budget machines that are still great, guys. And you're going to save probably 30 to 50% off compared to these machines. And at the same time, you're not really missing out on a whole lot. When you wake up in the morning, the budget machines are still going to give you really good control over your sleep apnea. You've still got plenty of good features. They've got good humidification systems, good data features. So you're not missing out on a whole lot. Once we have decided sort of where we are with our budget, these are some other things to consider. And the first one is the warranty on the machine. Warranties range from 3 years to 5 years, but there's all sorts of types of warranties as well. There's sort of repair warranties where if something happens maybe after 3 years, you've got to send it back for repair. Or there's replacement warranties where you don't have to get it repaired. They just send you out a brand new one if there's a fault. And also you need to sort of have a look at whether or not, if there is an issue with the device, do you have to sort of post it back to the manufacturer to have a look at it before they replace it? Will they give you sort of a loan machine in the meantime? Will they cover the postal costs? These are some things with the warranty. But another really important thing is you want to know what happens after that warranty. What happens if your motor blows up, and do they have fixed price servicing? Is there just one price for no matter what the fixed, or is it sort of on a quote basis? Just find out a little bit about the warranty, but ideally you want like a 5-year warranty on these full size units. You're probably not going to get that on the travel size units. And also you might want to discuss with the manufacturer or where you're buying it from, is there an option to sort of pay, extra $100 and get a few more years on top of that? So warranty is certainly one to take a look at when you're choosing your machine. The next one is probably the size and weight and the portability of it, especially if you're someone who moves around a lot for work, or you do a lot of holidaying, caravanning, camping, all that sort of stuff. If you're someone who's at home a lot of the time and you just leave it on your bedside table, doesn't matter so much. But if you're going back and forth between your partner's place, probably size and weight and how it packs up in the bag probably does make a difference, how easy it is to pack up. That's something to be mindful of. Now, after portability, I'd be looking at how easy is the machine to operate. How easy is it to maintain and clean, change settings, that sort of stuff. Ease of operation is quite important, especially if you're someone maybe with arthritis in your hands. You'd be wanting to look at how easy is it to sort of open and change the water of a night time. Are the buttons nice and easy to rotate and press? Maybe if you've got a bit of an eyesight or vision issues, have you got a nice big screen with nice big numbers that you can easily see so that you can change the settings? All those sort of things, the ease of operation, the ease of cleaning. Then we're going to be looking at potentially the data capabilities. Now, this might not be for everyone, but I do feel it's important to have some data capabilities on your machine, and most of them do. And most of them have apps these days as well, so that might be something you look into. It's handy to have the data because you can use the data to just check and make sure that the machine is doing a good job at controlling your apnea. And I do a lot of videos on this stuff, on how to use your data just to really fine tune your therapy levels to get them working at the lowest possible rate, and it's going to make life a lot easier for you. So data is really good. Don't get too consumed by the data. It's not the be all end all. Some people just look at it each day and every day. It's something you want to look at probably once a month, and then you can just use it as a bit of a guide to see how your therapy's going. But by all means, if you're loving it, that's fine as well. And then the last thing is probably, the comfort features on the machines. You want to be having a look at the humidification on the machine, especially if it's got an integrated heated tube. That's really good. If it doesn't, you can get yourself an external heated tube. It's not the end of the world, but an integrated heated tube, which is one that the power supply is actually from the machine itself and it's made by that brand, it is really handy, especially in those colder climates. Now, another thing you might like to consider is just having a look when the machine model was first released to the market, what year it was first introduced. So the different manufacturers have different product cycles, but just generally speaking, they normally supersede older models every sort of 4 to 6 years. So I think it's important just to sort of have a look when those machines were first released, because you kind of don't really want to be buying right at the end of that product cycle. It's sort of like buying, a new iPhone 10 when the iPhone 11 is going to be released 5 months later. Now, the manufacturers will never let you know when that's going to happen, but you can use it as a bit of a guide, and I'll give you a little example here. And I'm going to use the top 3 machines on today's market, so the market leaders, as the example. So we've currently got the ResMed AirSense 10, the Philips Respironics DreamStation, and then we've got the Fisher & Paykel Sleep Style. And if I was personally coming into the market looking at those 3 machines, I'd be going, okay, the ResMed was released 2014, I think. DreamStation around the same time. And then we've got the Sleep Style by Fisher & Paykel that was only released a couple of years ago. I'd be thinking about that seriously and going with the Sleep Style because it's only a couple of years old versus 5 or 6 years old. And I know that when I buy that Sleep Style, it's probably going to be a longer time before it's, superseded by a newer model. Whereas if I'm buying, the ResMed or the Philips, I'll be sort of holding my breath a little bit that later on this year or even next year that there's going to be, the AirSense 11 or the DreamStation 2 released. And I've spent all this money buying a machine that's already sort of outdated. It doesn't matter too much, but I think it's just worthwhile just taking note and just putting it down, jotting it down, and it might just sort of influence your decision one way or another. All right, so here's where we're at. Now, we know we're getting the automatic machine, and we've zeroed in on a few different manufacturers just based on our budget and sort of what we can afford. And now we're going to be sort of comparing a few different models, looking at things like, some different reviews on what people have said about them that already own them. We're going to be looking at perhaps at when that model was first released or what sort of warranties come with them. Maybe little things like, the portability and the size of the gear, how easy it is to operate and clean and maintain. And then maybe just some of those other little comfort features and the data capabilities and things like that. But once we've decided sort of what we want to get and we've made that good informed decision, this is where my advice is really important. It's when it comes to actually buying the gear, especially if you're going to be buying online. If you're going to be buying from a physical storefront, less important, as long as they're nice people and they're giving you, a reasonably good deal and they're going to look after you once you've bought it, then you really only just sort of maybe need to ask them how long they've been in business for and things like that, and maybe just check out a few reviews online of the actual business. But if you're buying online, it's when it gets really, really tricky, okay? And you really need to be super careful. There's just a whole bunch of what I call CPAP cowboys kicking around online. So you need to be super careful, and I've got a little checklist here that you can use and just tick that off, and that way you're not gonna get stung. And number 1 is just ask the company or check out, do you have any physical shop front locations? That is just the necessity number 1. Not the granny flat, okay, not the house, shop front, a retail location. Number 2, are you an authorized reseller? You can check with the manufacturers, that's fine as well. If they're not an authorized reseller, then they're not going to have a warranty through the manufacturer. Number 3, will you provide a receipt with ABN? So an Australian business number or any business number if you're in another country. Just make sure it's a proper business, and they'll provide you with a receipt with that business number on there, especially because a lot of the health insurance companies need that in order for you to claim. They need that ABN, and they generally need that physical shop front location as well. So just make sure you've got that there. Number 4, just please avoid buying your machines off places like Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree, eBay. Just avoid. The only people on those places are dodgy operators, so don't buy from there. And lastly, you can just ask the company how long you've been in business for. You probably don't want to be buying from the guy who's just opened up 6 months earlier because he may not succeed in business, and then you might be stuck. So generally buy from someone who's been in business a few years. You can check out their, Google My Business rating. Just make sure they're just a reputable business, that people have got some reasonable feedback about them. They're never going to have a perfect 5 out of 5 star because that's just the CPAP world that we live in. But just do your research, and that way you can still get a good deal online, but just without all the headaches and the heartache of just not being able to get in touch with the company ever again. And just whenever you need assistance, there's no one there. You will need assistance with it at some point. All right, so just buy from a good company. Pretty simple. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, Nick's CPAP Buyer's Guide. Just a few little tips that might help make life a little bit easier if you're looking to buy your first CPAP machine, or maybe you're looking to upgrade from an older machine. Certainly a big challenge, so try not to get too bogged down in all the clever marketing stuff. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter whether you get the most expensive machine in the world or the very basic machine. They're all really going to do the same thing, which is get rid of your sleep apnea and your snoring and give you a healthy night's sleep. So just choose something that's right for you. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate your support with the thumbs up. Keeps me motivated, and I love seeing it, and certainly puts a smile on my face. And feel free to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of this. Till next time, guys, look, stay safe wherever you are in the world. We're in another lockdown in Melbourne, but 5 more days and hopefully that's it for us. And let's hope we can get on with life with the rollout of the vaccines. All right, stay safe, sleep well, and look out for one another. Till next time, bye.